And welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Charyse Williams. She is a registered nurse, a holistic health coach, and she follows a plant-based diet. She's going to tell us her story and make some delicious recipes like spicy buffalo cauliflower tacos. Please welcome Charyse to the show. It's very nice to meet you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you as well. Thanks for having me.
And you were referred by a couple of the doctors that were on the show, right?
Yeah, Dr. Manish and Dr. Bandana Challa here in Houston. Lifestyle doctor.
My job is so easy because all the guests refer their friends and so it's been wonderful. Nice. I'd love to hear your story because you are an ICU nurse. And I'm sure by the time the patients get into ICU, they're pretty sick. And it's not really the time to say, hey, eat some kale, you know?
Definitely not. But I will share with you, taking it all the way back to when I was working in the ICU, I remember very distinctly, when I first started, when I first became an ICU nurse, most of my patients were 80s, 90s, 100 years old. They were older patients, right? And then fast forward about 8 years, 10 years, I remember, like I said, very distinctly, I was standing in surgical ICU. I was standing right in front of bed 22. And I remember having this thought, and the thought was, we are doing something terribly wrong. And what I meant by we, I meant healthcare. And what I meant by that statement or that thought was, at that point in time, the patients, there are lots of 40-year-olds or a couple of 30-year-olds in the ICU, but it was 40s, 50s, 60-year-olds became the norm. And yeah, you still have your, 90-year-olds, 100-year-olds scattered in. But when I tell you, and at the time I was in my 20s, late 20s, but I saw a lot of 40s, 50s, and I'm thinking, whoa, this is not good. This is not good. And so shortly after that I kind of transitioned out of ICU. I started a project management and training consulting business, and I was traveling literally all over the country, all over the world, really, now to think about it. And what ended up happening was, because I was, all in, a lot of times when we're all into something, we're all in, right? And so I was all in and really focusing on my career. And I was really crushing it from a professional standpoint, but like many of you, I'm sure, are going to be able to relate to, is to the detriment of my health. I found myself, gosh, I was chronically fatigued. I was having migraines about every couple of days. And here's the thing, I had migraines before, but they were kind of spread out. But it got to a point where about every 3 to 4 days, I'd have a migraine. So basically it was the whole week. Just as soon as one was going away, like another one was coming. And so, so between the migraines, between the fatigue, I was working sometimes 16, 18, 20 hours a day, day after day. Week after week, month after month, and so that compound effect, and I wasn't sleeping. So that weight gain, out the wazoo, I gained like 80 pounds. So much so that I started having knee pain. And then I will say the straw that broke the camel's back was this. I was out of town. I was at a restaurant with a friend. We were leaving the restaurant. I stepped off the curb to go into the parking lot, and I fell, Chef AJ. I was in my 30s. Did I mention that? No one falls in their 30s. Little old ladies fall, right? That's what we have a perception of. And I remember laying there. I'm literally laying there on the asphalt. It was hot. And I'm laying there and I'm like, am I on the ground? I am on the ground. What in the world? So my friend helps me up. She walks to her car. I walk to my car. She drives off. I sat there and I just started crying. I put my head against the steering wheel and I just started crying. And I'm like, what am I doing? What is going on? And that was a wake-up call for me. And I was like, okay, your body's falling apart. And I always say our body's always communicating to us, but oftentimes we look at it as a nuisance or an annoyance, and we're like, I don't have time for that. And we push it to the side. And that's really what I've been doing, as if the migraines weren't evident of my body trying to communicate to me something is not right. But I kept going. I kept pushing through that, like a lot of people do. We just keep pushing through. But when I was sitting there in my car crying, I said, okay, got to do something. This is not good. And so I remember I went to Borders bookstore. Do you remember? I don't know if Borders is around anymore. I went to Borders bookstore and I got this book, and it's called the pH Miracle by Dr. Young, and it talks about the importance of eating alkaline food versus acidic food, and it really appealed to my science brain, right? Because I'm a nurse, right? So it appealed to my science brain, and I thought, well, this makes so much sense. Like, how come I didn't learn about this in nursing school? Not like this. I didn't learn it like this, and so I really delved into really alternative ways of healing. I knew I didn't want to keep taking medications, like for migraines, for anything for that matter, because I also understood that the medication was just kind of keeping the migraines at bay, but I always felt awful taking them. I felt like I had a hangover the next day, and I wanted something that was going to fix the problem, not just, put a Band-Aid on it. And so that's when I turned into food, like learning about food as medicine, learning more about, the therapeutic essential oils, medicinal herbs, breath work, meditation, all of that. And I quickly just totally changed my diet, went raw vegan, in fact. And so let me tell you why that's actually kind of funny, because prior to making that decision, my dinner sometimes would be, because remember, I'm traveling all over the world and I'm living out of hotel rooms basically. And I would think nothing of having a large lemonade and a cookies and cream shake from Chick-fil-A. That was my dinner. And French fries. That was my dinner. Many nights. And so I switched totally. I'm like, okay, raw vegan, this is it. And it was. I mean, oh my gosh, I felt so literally. Remember I told you I was like, my energy level was down the tubes. And so within like the first 3, 4, 5 days, I had all this energy. And I was like, what is this? I don't know what this feels like. I'm loving it, but what is this? This is very unfamiliar. And so that was the first thing that I noticed. And then I started just dropping weight. Like literally my body just started releasing pounds like nobody's business. Like within 8 months, I think I lost 80 pounds or released 80 pounds. And I thought, oh, well, this feels great. My knee pain went away, of course, as a result of me releasing all the excess weight. My migraines went away. Everything shifted. And I thought, well, look at this, just from changing what was on the other end of my fork. So that's kind of I was going to say a short version. It was kind of longer than expected, but that's the backstory. Wow.
Had you ever heard of either a vegan or a plant-based diet before getting that book?
I mean, in passing, it wasn't like it was totally new. I remember right around, so I considered, no, I did. I did like dabble vegetarian. I remember a few months before that, I was working I think it was in New York or something, and someone told me about a book called, and I thought it was funny because I saw a title of one of your videos, but she told me about a book called Skinny Bitch. And because I was telling her, I was like, I really think I should do this vegetarian thing or vegan thing, I'm not sure. And I said, but I really like, milk and cheese and eggs. And she was like, you need to get this book and you will never look at those things the same. Like you won't have a problem. And I thought, okay, well, all right. And sure enough, like I say a couple of months, it probably was maybe a month before this whole, incident. And so I remember I was walking through the airport, and there's always, bookstores in the airport. Lo and behold, I'm walking through the airport. I'm walking through LaGuardia, and right on the end cap, what do you know? It's the book, Skinny Bitch. And so I grab it. And normally when I fly, I'm normally asleep. I told you I had chronic fatigue. I was sleep deprived and all that. But this particular trip, I read that book cover to cover. I finished the book, and I was like, oh, okay. And I have not looked at egg and milk and cheese the same. She was right. She was definitely right about that. So to answer your question, yes, I've heard of it, and I was kind of already in the process of shifting some things. But that book, the pH Miracle book, is what really, really, really did it for me.
That's great. Did you learn anything about nutrition in nursing school? And if so, what?
You know what? I'm sure I learned something. Now, granted, as Chef AJ, this was, oh gosh, probably almost 30 years ago now, 20 something years ago. But I will say this. What I remember from nursing school was really macros. It was one semester. It was one semester of a nutrition one-on-one class. And I remember, proteins, carbs, that's about, not a whole lot, nothing as it really relates to health, which sounds weird. It sounds strange, but that's the truth. It was never tied to, okay, these types of foods can help with these types of illnesses, or all illnesses for that matter. There was never that correlation. It was, okay, this is food. You've got some protein, you've got some carbs, you've got, you're looking at your macros, you've got these calories. Okay, semester over. I mean, pretty much.
Do you ever notice how sometimes the most unhealthy food is what they serve to patients at the hospital?
Oh boy, can I tell you some stories about that? Literally. So I will even share with you, last year, I got COVID, and I got really, really sick, very sick. Hence, I'm a little fluffier than I typically am. And so I got really sick last year, and I was in the hospital for 8 days. And I remember sending my husband pictures, like, how can the food that they were sending up, I was like, how can they expect people to heal and to get better when these are the options? When I tell you, like, I had to order a salad, it was wilted light green or white iceberg lettuce with one little wimpy tomato. That was the salad. That was it. And I'm like, fabulous. This is awesome. I could order French fries. And so I did, because the other options were hamburgers. And I'm like, nope, that's not going to work. Or chicken tenders. I'm like, nope, that's not going to work either. So I had the Wimpies, and I had oatmeal. I could eat oatmeal, which is fine. I'm good with oatmeal. But it was pretty bad. And I remember taking pictures. I'm like, can you? I'm just, livid. I'm like, can you believe that this is what they're feeding people in the hospital? Because when I worked in ICU, I mean, our patients didn't really eat a whole lot. They were critically ill. They were on a breathing machine or whatnot. So a lot of them didn't eat at all at that stage of their sickness. But it's astounding. It's astounding the types of food that's served in the hospital. It's shameful. Dare I say shameful, really.
Well, one of the things I hear is that, I've very rarely been in the hospital, but the few times I have, I've never gotten a survey afterwards. But I guess there's patient satisfaction surveys, and they're worried that they'll get a bad rating if the patients don't like the food.
True. Very true. Yeah, I've never been in the hospital. I didn't have my babies. 2 babies. I'm in and out. Other than that, last year was like the first time I've ever been in the hospital in 20. My youngest is 21, in 21 years.
Wow, so, good. Well, stay out of them, because
I am out of there.
So what do you do? So what do you do now? Gorjus. Tell what is Gorjus green? Green
Gorjus. Yeah,
Green Gorjus.
Green Gorjus. That is my holistic health company. What I do is I empower. I teach busy, high achieving women like myself. Right? I teach busy, high achieving women how to heal their bodies with the foods that they eat, with the thoughts that they think, and with the words that they speak, so that they can reverse and prevent disease.
Nice. And do you work with people one-on-one, in groups? What is it like?
Yeah, the majority of my practice is one-on-one. I do have group coaching programs, but yeah, it's typically one-on-one. I have clients all over the country, which is really, really amazing, really amazing. And we focus first, the pillar, of course, is food. Because if you don't have the food right, everything else is kind of goes out the window. Yeah. But we look at or focus on sleep optimization, mindfulness, breath work. I mentioned medicinal herbs, therapeutic essential oils, all of those things. But again, we could do all of those things, but if you're eating French fries and lemonade, not going to have that great of a success.
Yeah. Do you remember, what was that place? I used to love I haven't had sugar now. It's almost 20 years. There was a place that made lemonade, and it was like real famous place in the mall, and they made it in different flavors like cherry and lime. They were really wild. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
I used to go crazy it was all sugar basically.
Of course, that's why I did crazy for it.
That's why it was so good. I'm trying to think of what I used to, but I did love lemonade back in the day.
Yeah. Well, you can still drink lemonade. Do you not? Yeah. Do you use? Yeah. Because
I could just sweeten it with dates, but that must have had just so much sugar in it. The mall lemonade.
Ridiculous.
I know what it was called. It was called hot dog on a stick. And being vegan, I didn't have the hot dog, but they had this. They had this cherry lemonade that was the best thing I ever tasted. And I would get the giant size,
Of course. I do remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But dates, yeah. Lemonade, I mean, lemonade with dates. That's perfect. Delicious.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah. And maybe I might
tons
even
of
put a little kale in it now. You never know.
absolutely. I literally just I just went to the grocery store to buy a whole bunch of produce for green lemonade. I love making green lemonade.
Yeah,
So
that's good stuff. Good
kale,
stuff.
spinach, cucumber, apples, lemon. Yum.
That sounds amazing. Well, you've got a Vitamix in front of you, so it looks like you're going to be making us some delicious food.
Yeah, I am going to be making spicy, what is it? Spicy buffalo cauliflower tacos. Because who doesn't love a good taco, right? Oh goodness. So let me do this. I am going to turn, once I start putting things in the Vitamix, I'm going to shift my, or tilt my camera down so that way you can see. And so first and foremost, what we're going to do is you're going to need some cauliflower. So let me move this Vitamix over. So you're going to need some cauliflower, and we're going to make them into nice little kind of chunks. Okay, so I'm going to turn this down, and you can see this. I have a whole head of cauliflower, great cruciferous vegetable. Of course, full of fiber. I'm going to flip it over actually. I have it, of course, it's washed already, but so we're going to just make some chunks.
It's nice that cauliflower's getting its day in the sun after all these years. Oh, she's muting her. Did you know that you're muted, Charyse? I don't know if you know that. Charyse, you're muted. I hope you can hear me. I don't know. Charyse. Hello, you're muted. I don't think she knows. Oh no.
We're going to put this all in a bowl.
There you go. You, just so you know, hon, you were muted for just a bit.
I was?
Yeah, I was. I guess you didn't hear me, but it's okay. You're not muted now.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
okay.
That's okay.
All right, so we're going to just make these into chunks, and we're going to put this into a bowl. All right, we've got our fabulous little bowl here. We're going to chunk up our cauliflower. Now, I will tell you, you can prepare this. You can eat it raw. You can eat it dehydrated, which is still raw. Or you can actually bake it. I honestly prefer it raw, believe it or not. But either way, so you've got some variations there that you can play around with. Okay. If you are going to dehydrate it, what I recommend is after we make the sauce, is we're going to coat our cauliflower with sauce, and then you dehydrate it on like 110, 115 for about 6 to 8 hours. Now, it tastes equally as delicious. Either way we go here. Do you want me to explain to you do you want me to explain what raw is, or?
Sure, because isn't there a difference between raw food and living foods?
I think well, I'll say it like this. Raw is foods, or raw vegan is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and sprouted grains that are not heated above 115. Some literature will say 115, 118, but so that doesn't mean that you can't. I'm going to pull this up. So that doesn't mean that you have to eat all cold food necessarily, unless you want to. But I will tell you, when it comes to things like soups and soups and pastas, that type of thing. I say pasta, but zasta or zucchini noodles, I prefer that to be warm. So I put those in my dehydrator. So it can still be raw and warm. I know that's I always get questions about that. My whole thing is you want to eat as close to nature as possible. So when you're eating as close to nature as possible, that means you're not eating things that are processed, filled with lots of stuff we can't even pronounce, filled with lots of fat, filled with lots of preservatives, filled with lots of salt, filled with lots of things that we just don't need. Okay, and so eating as close to nature. So this is an example of eating close to nature. All right, so I've got this all chunked. All right, so what we're going to do is, now that we've got our now like the little pieces, so I'm going to turn the camera back down. So all these little bitty pieces, these are really good too, because they'll get coated with the sauce as well. Oh my goodness, and it's so yummy. And here's the thing, I always like to share this. You do not have to be vegan or raw vegan in order to enjoy this. If you like buffalo spicy buffalo anything, you'll like this. My kids are not plant-based, but they love this. They love it when I make this. So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, well, that's vegan food or that's raw vegan. It's delicious. It is delicious. It is crunchy and spicy and sweet all at the same time. And it's just yummy. So we put our cauliflower. Here's our whole head of cauliflower. We just put this to the side. Make little chunks, put it to the side. Now we're ready for our sauce. So what you're going to need is either a Vitamix, this is my favorite, or some type of high-speed blender, high-powered blender. So, and we're going to make our sauce. Starting first with our dates. So we're talking about sweet, right? So a lot of times people think, I hear two things. One, vegan food is not tasty. And I'm like, well, you're doing it wrong, honey, because I don't know why. It should be very tasty, very flavorful. It should be just as delicious as any other food. Because here's the thing, if it's not, you're not going to stick with it. You're not going to stick with it, right? And there's no need to just not eat flavorful food. So what we're going to do is we have some dates here, and I have the recipe for everybody. So I may not actually say the measurements, but you'll have access to that. All right, so we've got dates, medjool dates. So this is going to be our natural sweetener, full of fiber, full of, well, fiber is probably one of the biggest thing that's full of, which is great for your digestion. If you have any problems with constipation, great for your digestive system, okay? It's also full of iron. So love this. So you want to take the pit out. I have it soaking in half a cup of water, which is what the recipe calls for as well. So it's a half a cup of pitted and soaked dates and half a cup of water. Now, what I did was I just had some warm water and I literally just put it, measured out, put it in here and put a top over it so that it could get the dates kind of soft and pliable and rehydrated. And again, we're just going to pour all of that into our Vitamix. Okay. So that's our dates. We also have some tomatoes.
So when you say your kids don't eat plant-based, do they eat pretty healthy though for kids?
Well, they're actually not even kids anymore. They're 21 and 24.
Oh, okay. So, well, then you have no control over what they eat.
I have no control of that. But I will tell you this. When I invested in a Vitamix, they were all excited about it because I told them it could make ice cream and and told them it could make soup and ice cream and everything. And so they were really intrigued by that. But I told them there's one rule. If you're gonna use my Vitamix, because it was an investment, if you're gonna use my Vitamix, you have to pick 2 vegetables and 2 fruit. That's the only way you can use it. You can't just put anything in my Vitamix. You have to make it healthy. But what's interesting is that my youngest, and he played all sports, football, basketball, track, all of that. And he would work out, so much in the weight room, but there would be weeks when he would just eat plant-based, which was interesting to me. And then for whatever, like he'd go out with his friends or whatnot, and he might have a burger or something. But it was just so interesting. So I would just pay attention to how he was eating. It was nothing for him to make a smoothie for breakfast in the morning. And like dash out the door. So I always liked that. And it wasn't that because I told him to, it was just what he was naturally drawn to. And like I said, he's my super duper athlete. Both of my kids are athletes, but yeah. So we've got some sun-dried tomatoes. So I don't have any control over it now.
Got it. When you say, I don't know. I just thought maybe they were little kids. So yeah.
I wish it happened so quickly. Oh, so we have some sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, sun-dried tomatoes, great for cardiovascular health, high in fiber, vitamin C. We love sun-dried tomatoes. Here's the deal, and you can make your own if you feel inclined. You can make them in a dehydrator. So get you some tomatoes, slice them up, dehydrate them. Could take, depending on your dehydrator, anywhere from 16 to 24 hours. But that's okay. You'll have a whole bunch of sun-dried tomatoes, or you can just buy them. What I do always recommend is look for the ones that are the only ingredient is tomatoes, not a whole list of other things, because literally sun-dried tomatoes should be just tomatoes. Okay, and so we're going to put that into our blender as well. Again, they were just soaked and drained warm water for about mine were soaking probably about 30 minutes, but minimally 15 minutes, just to kind of rehydrate them. It's going to make it easier to blend, even though it is a Vitamix, but All right, so we've got our dates, we've got our water, we've got our sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to go in with tahini. So tahini, can I use tahini? If not, I can use avocado. You there? Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, right here. You can't see me? I'm right here. Hello?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Are we okay with tahini for today?
Oh yeah, tahini's fantastic.
Fabulous, because
I even have something called the Nutrimilk machine. I can make my own tahini at a fraction of the cost.
What? I have got to learn about this. So
Yep.
love tahini, high in selenium. Tahini also, I'm trying to think what's so great about tahini. Copper, great, high in copper, which helps to control your blood pressure. Again, so I do a show, it's called Eat to Live. So that's why I'm like adding in all these extra little nuggets, because we should be eating to live. I think it's important to understand how our foods affect our bodies. So tahini, not that I'm going to use that spoon because that spoon's too big. So we're going to just dump our tahini in here. It was 2 tablespoons, by the way. Spoon around there somewhere. All righty. Okay. And then good old apple cider vinegar. I just measured out. I think it's 2 tablespoons. Oh, is it 2? It's 1. It's 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Great for your digestive health. Great. Naturally helps to lower blood pressure. Also helps to manage blood sugar. So apple cider vinegar is our friend. So we're going to throw that in there as well. FYI, I just want to throw this out there. If I wasn't talking through this whole thing, this whole buffalo meal, taco meal, takes about 10 minutes or less, because I don't particularly love being in the kitchen for hours, because I have a lot of things going on. I know a lot of people are moms and busy professionals. They want to eat healthy. They just don't have necessarily the time to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. But a misconception is that it has to take forever. It doesn't. Everything that I make takes 10 to 15 minutes. And if it takes longer than 15 minutes, it's only because I'm making a whole bunch of it. But otherwise, it's 10 or 15 minutes, or sometimes even quicker. Like a smoothie, you can, whip that out in 5 minutes or less. So I just want to kind of clear that misconception. If anyone's watching, like, oh, I want to eat healthier, but I don't have time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just have to have some good tools and some good recipes, and you're good to go. All right, so that was our apple cider vinegar. We're going to go in. I like to call this nature's natural antibiotic. It is a clove of garlic. Love that. My anti-fungal, antibacterial, anti-everything antibiotic, right? All right, so we have that going in, and then we have our seasoning. So this is where the magic happens. As if this isn't magical enough, because let me just tell you, I know you can't smell it, but it smells really good. I wish you could smell it. I wish we had smell-o-vision.
I wish we had taste-o-vision, because I see you guys making things. I wish you could just pass it through the screen. Maybe one day.
So awesome. Someone needs to work on that. So now we have some seasonings. Okay, we have a little cayenne pepper. If you don't like any spice at all, okay, you can omit the cayenne pepper. If you like just a tiny bit of heat, go ahead and put in a little bit, like a little pinch, because remember, we have the dates to balance out the heat to balance out the heat. So it's going to be like a sweet heat by the time we're finished with it. And so you're going to add in a half to 1 teaspoon of cayenne. Love cayenne. We've got some garlic powder, although we have a clove of garlic. We also have a little garlic powder in there as well. And I just kind of pre-measure everything out. We've got onion powder. We've got turmeric. Oh, can y'all see this? You can't see it. We've got turmeric. Turmeric is amazing, natural anti-inflammatory. Okay. It naturally has I always can't say the word curcumin. There we go. I think I spit it out. Natural anti-inflammatory. If you have so here's the thing. Most of us have inflammation. Particularly if you're not eating plant-based, you definitely have inflammation, because the standard American diet and lots of variations of the standard American diet are highly inflammatory. When we're eating things like, meat, for specifically sugar. Chef AJ, you just talked about sugar. Sugar is so highly inflammatory. It's ridiculous. And so, but turmeric is one of those beautiful spices that you can add. It's naturally, because of the curcumin, naturally and has anti-inflammatory properties and antioxidant properties as well. Okay, so we're going to just throw all of that in there. I also put a little bit of black pepper. So black pepper, whenever you're using turmeric, you always want to combine with black pepper so that it becomes more bioavailable to your body, which just means that your body's able to consume, process all of the fabulousness of the turmeric. So that's in there as well. All right, so we've got our cayenne, our onion powder, garlic powder, turmeric, and let's not forget my favorite. Oh my gosh. If you do not have any smoked paprika.
Yeah, that's my favorite spice in the whole world, I think.
In the whole entire world. Like in the entire world. If you don't have it, you have to get it's everywhere. It's in the spice aisle. You might overlook it. There's so many choices, but every single household needs smoked paprika, because it really just ramps up the flavor. So I'm going to put all that, and it adds a nice, beautiful smokiness to it. I'm just going to add all of that to our Vitamix, okay? And that is it. We're gonna give it a whirl. Remember, I already have our water in there. So it's gonna be loud for just a second. Maybe I can press the mute. Hold on. I'm gonna press the mute so it's not so loud. Okay, so I just want to stop it here. This is actually a perfect place to stop. You might potentially be tempted to add more fluid. Don't do it. Don't do it, because remember, this is the sauce. This is the coating for our cauliflower. And so if you make it too thin, it's not going to really stick like you want it to on the cauliflower, okay? And so, and if you like me, I want texture. So there are still a little tiny bits of sun-dried tomato and little tiny bits of dates. You could continue to blend it probably for another 30 seconds or so if you want it completely like homogeneous and creamy. But I like mine like this.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. The sauce just sounds delicious on other things, I bet.
It is so good. It is so good.
Hey, Charyse, I just want to say there's a comment from a live viewer named Kathy that says, your complexion is beautiful and Charyse is gorgeous. Do you have any skincare secrets other than all the vegetables?
Thank you. The skin secret is we are what we eat, right? No, really, seriously. I honestly have never seen any person that eats plant-based, or even primarily plant-based, that doesn't have really good skin. Now, I will say this, my skin's always been pretty decent, but when I went 100% raw vegan, oh my gosh, it's like you have this inner glow. You literally, because you're eating all of this live food, right? You have this glow about you. And so it's not just me. Look at other people who are plant-based. I mean, seriously. So that is really the secret. I use different products, but the secret is eat what you eat. If you eat like crap, you end up looking like crap. Yep. Might not be the best word to use, but I've said the B word. I've said the B word already, so it doesn't
you got it. You couldn't be right. You couldn't be more right.
So let me move this over, and then we're gonna assemble our taco. Scoot all this over. And we've got some variations on that as well. So remember we had our whole bowl of cauliflower. I'm just going to put this down. And then we have our sauce, our buffalo sauce. You are going to need either a spoon or a spatula to scoop that out. Let's go ahead and use a spoon. And so remember, I'm going to just kind of put it here. Remember, you want it thick, okay? You want it thick because you need it to cover the cauliflower. So that's when I should have used a spatula, but it's okay. And so if you have kiddos, I think this is a good time to let them help. I mean, they could have been helping all along, but let me make sure you want all this yummy goodness out of there. Okay. So if you have kiddos, I think this is a great time. If they haven't helped thus far, I think this is a great time to have them help. So I'm going to take off my ring. Take it off my ring. And yes, you could use a spoon. You could use a spoon to get this all nice and coated, or you can get your kiddos and you can do it yourself. And you can just massage all the love into your food. Okay, you can massage all the fabulous sauce into your food. So you're just gonna literally, you could use a spoon, or like I like to say, massage the love into it. Kids love this because they feel like it is kind of gooey. It is kind of gooey, but it's definitely textured because you have the hard cauliflower, you got the kind of the gooey or creamy sauce. All right, so now that's well coated, very well coated. Okay, so let me grab a paper towel. Very well coated. And so here's where I was saying you have a couple of options. you could at this point put it on your chest flex. Well, depending on what kind of dehydrator you have, you could kind of divide this into 3 if you wanted to, or 2, depending on how many options, or you don't have to do any. But you could then transfer this over to your chest flex or to your dehydrator tray. And then you can put it in the dehydrator if you want. It's going to change the texture. It's going to change the color a little bit because it's kind of quote unquote baking it into the cauliflower. But you're going to bake it. You're going to dehydrate it for about 110 degrees for about 6 to 8 hours. Okay. Or if you wanted to cook it, you can just put it on a baking sheet, put it in the oven, 5 to 7 minutes. Otherwise, it's going to get really, really mushy. I don't know about you, but I'm not into mushy cauliflower. Okay, and you're gonna cook off all the nutrients. That's the other benefit of eating raw and preparing raw. You're keeping all of those phytonutrients, all the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes that are in the food intact. You're not cooking them off, and so you're literally eating all that. I was gonna say all the yummy goodness, which it is yummy goodness, but all of the, like I said, vitamins, minerals, enzymes are naturally part of the food, okay? That's what's healing for our body. That's what our bodies need. So there we go. So options, dehydrator, oven, or my favorite is actually just eating it just like this. So speaking of options, if you want to do like corn tortillas, you could do that. Honestly, I like to do a good old-fashioned lettuce wrap. I use lettuce as my tortilla. So I have this organic green butter lettuce. I've already rinsed it. And so I think they're the perfect little size for a taco. So I am gonna open this up. Well, come on now. Open this up. This is so cute. I just think these are just adorable. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and peel off a couple of leaves. Let's see if I can get some that's not actually torn. That's one. Another one.
Have you ever had jicama wraps? Like they make them, they look like tacos.
I love jicama wraps. They didn't have them today. That would have been my third option. The jicama or the corn tortilla or any type of romaine or butter, whatever, or bib lettuce. But yeah, they didn't have jicama today. So I was kind of bummed because I do like that a lot. All right, so before we do this, let me just show you what I have for toppings. So I love a great purple onion. So we're gonna slice a couple this purple onion a bit. And I have some mango pico de gallo. Yum. Who likes mango pico?
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, and if you don't like mango pico, you can just get regular pico de gallo. That's fine. And then I have this beautiful yellow. I have this already. And I thought I should use this before it goes bad. So this beautiful yellow bell pepper. We have that. Little trivia for those that are watching. Who can tell me which one is the sweeter bell pepper? Would it be the green one? Would it be the yellow one? Would it be the orange one? Or would it be the red one? What do y'all think?
I'll see what they say in the chat and then I'll tell you what I think. I know for sure which one it isn't, but because it has to do with unripe or ripe. But guys, guess in the chat. Okay, so we're seeing red, we're seeing orange. I was gonna say yellow, and I was gonna say green is the less one.
Yeah, actually, the sweeter one is the red one.
Well,
and when we think red, we think hot, like, oh my God, it's gonna be so spicy. It's not, but red is the sweeter one. But you're right, green is the least. I don't think there's any sweetness at all in the green one.
I don't care for green bell pepper. It's just
I don't even use them much anymore. That used to be the only thing I used, and then I started just playing around with just the color. And I always tell people, eat the rainbow. Strive to eat the different colors of the rainbow. So I started playing around with red and yellow and orange, and I just like them better. So we have that. All right, so that's what we have. So for our toppings, what we're gonna top it with, I just sliced some of our beautiful yellow bell peppers. I just sliced some beautiful red onion or purple onion. My absolute favorite here, a little avocado. And then we have our mango salsa. So that's what we're gonna top it with. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab a leaf. Let me open the mango. thought I can do it, but I did not. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have our leaf. And then we're gonna grab some of our beautiful, beautifully coated cauliflower, spicy cauliflower bites here. Then we're gonna just sprinkle it with some beautiful purple onion. And remember, you guys, if you don't like purple onion, don't do purple. If you don't like yellow bell peppers, don't do yellow bell peppers. But I would encourage you to maybe you like carrots. You know, so that's another color you could have added in, just some nice julienne carrots. Okay, so we're gonna just make that really pretty. Gotta get some cilantro. I didn't tell you I have cilantro, but of course I have cilantro. Who needs tacos without cilantro? That would be sacrilegious, I think. I don't know. So we've got some cilantro here. Great, beautiful heavy metal detoxer. It's a great blood cleanser. Cilantro is just wonderful. Now, if you are the type of person, I love the smell. If you're the type of person that when you eat cilantro, it tastes like soap. Then, I mean, because that's a thing. It's a thing. So then opt out for parsley. You can swap it out for parsley. They don't do quite the same thing, but they are both really powerful blood cleansers. They just work slightly different. So if you can do cilantro, great. Go for your cilantro. If not, substitute with parsley. Okay. And then now we're going to put a little bit of mango. Ooh, salsa. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me get this plate. I just really want to get the plate because it's really pretty. I have this little heart plate. It's so pretty. It's just pretty. Okay, so we've got our heart plate. We've got our beautiful taco here. How pretty is that? You see all the colors? Something about the colors. That's just beautiful.
Gorgeous. You know, when I think about like Thanksgiving coming up next month, people that eat standard American diet, their food is going to be brown or brown and white.
Yeah, pretty much. Brown and white. Turkey, dressing, brown.
Gravy. It's like a brown, and it's like how you know, they say with our eyes. So how is that going to be? I don't know. You know, we're primates and we see color. There's a reason we see color.
We do. And here's the thing: we get so stuck in habits and traditions without even thinking about it. You don't even have to think about what are you having for Thanksgiving. You know, those of you who eat a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, there's no thought. We just, because it's what our grandmothers made, it's what our mom made, it's what we made. But it doesn't have to be. We can be very intentional about what we're choosing to put into our bodies, and we can be very intentional about what we are, about what traditions that we want to carry forward. You know, we always hear people talk about generational wealth, but I always like to mention generational health. You know, I was watching something that you. I was watching one of your videos, and you know, we hear this all the time that diseases are passed down. It runs in my family. No, it's not the disease that runs in your family. It's the habits, it's the recipes, it's the lifestyle that runs in your family that causes or that contributes to the disease, right? And so we can be very intentional about changing the trajectory of our family's health by incorporating new recipes, new traditions. Well, who says you can't have spicy buffalo cauliflower tacos for Thanksgiving? I don't know.
Like, you know what, right before we logged on, I said, did you know Dr. Baxter Montgomery? And he always says it's not the disease that runs in the family, it's the recipe.
That's it. That's precisely it. You're right. He's right. Absolutely. So how about we taste this? It's so pretty. I kind of don't want to taste it because it's so pretty, but I do want to taste it because it smells delicious and it is delicious. So let's just taste this. I'll taste this on your behalf.
You're taking one for the team, Charyse.
I am. Let me tell you. The creaminess. Oh my God. The sweet heat. Oh my goodness. The cilantro, the crunchiness from the red onion, the crunchiness from the cauliflower, the crunchiness from the bell pepper. Oh my God, it's just delicious. But that something about that creaminess and sweetness. Like I said, it's not like super sweet, but it is a sweet heat because I put cayenne. It's good. It is so good. You guys, you can eat 2 of these, maybe 3. 3 might even. Oh, I didn't. My goodness gracious. I talked all that about avocado and didn't add it. Are you kidding me? Please hold.
Yeah.
Because we cannot have a taco.
Mona wants to know if you could air fry the cauliflower. Not everybody has a dehydrator.
Good point. I'm sure you could. I can honestly say I have never air fried cauliflower, but I bet you would be good. I bet you it would be good.
That'd be
So
really
yes,
good. Yeah.
I think you could.
Yeah.
And
Mona
so,
says you're not old enough to have children the age you said they were.
well, that's what I think too. But yeah, they're 20, 21 and 24, or almost 24. He'll be 24 in December. But yeah, I know, time flies. Okay, so here we go. Let's put some avocado on this beautiful taco. All right, because that's just going to add to the creaminess. It's also going to, oh, so pretty. It's also going to keep you a little more full. Not that, I mean, even if you ate 3 of these or 4 of these, I mean,
it's just
veggies. Calorie-wise, there's hardly any. The thing that we added that has the most calories, if you're concerned about calories, is really the tahini, which was only a tablespoon.
And you didn't use very much.
Yeah, other than that, everything else is very minimal. So of course we added our avocado, so that's gonna increase that. But let's take another bite now with the avocado.
Rosie says they look delicious and can't wait to try them. And Stephanie says, I wonder if you could use broccoli instead of cauliflower.
Well, you know what? They're in the same family. They're brassicas. They're cruciferous vegetables. So, I mean, I don't know why. I don't see why you couldn't. They both are crunchy. How about this? Try it out. Let us know.
Absolutely. That's what I always say. Do you ever miss being a nurse in the hospital?
No, just because healthcare has changed. It's not what I realized is that it just wasn't in alignment with who I was as a person anymore, and how I choose to empower people to heal. I think it's a shame for people to be on blood pressure medicine, for 30 years, or to be on diabetic if they're type 2 diabetic, and specifically to be on diabetic medicine for 20 years. Like, these are reversible diseases. And so,
amen.
And things like even like sleeping pills. I mean, every one of my patients was on a sleeping pill. And I'm like, why am I not able to sleep? I mean, I get it, but there are so many things that we can use that are natural that can help us with chamomile. How about we have chamomile tea, lavender in the hospital to help people sleep? What about that? Yeah, but no, so to answer, that was a long answer, but no, it just doesn't align with who I am anymore. So I just want to clear this out. I think modern medicine is great in acute situations. Like when I was sick last year, I definitely needed I didn't need a smoothie at the time that I couldn't breathe. I needed oxygen. I needed some steroids to decrease the inflammation in my lungs. There were things that I needed at that time. So I think modern medicine is great for acute situations, absolutely. But long term, I don't align with the model anymore.
Yeah. Do they, I know that registered dietitians, they have like groups for just registered dietitians that are plant-based. Do they have anything like that for nurses?
Like online or in person?
I'm just curious, like if they have like a network, how like they have physicians committee for responsible medicine. I'm curious if there's an organization that exists for nurses that are vegan and plant-based.
I don't know. I honestly don't, I don't know of it, but I'd venture to say yes. That's an excellent question. I don't know, but guess what?
Well, if they don't have one, I think you should start one.
You know what? I think I would love that, honestly.
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
People are saying Charyse is a rock star. Jolene loves your laugh. So does Sally. The Dave said, can I microwave it? But my feeling is you would have to at least have steamed the cauliflower first. I don't know for sure, but I'm just thinking it might not get soft enough.
It probably wouldn't. And this is just I try not to use microwave at all. Just the microwave, so we talked about preserving the integrity of the nutrients, right? Preserving the integrity of the natural phytonutrients, phytochemicals that are in the food. And so whether you're eating plant-based or even if you're eating, standard American diet, when you put things in the microwave, it just destroys everything. It heats it, yes, but it destroys. So, I guess you could, I would say, try it like this. And here's another thing. So here's a whole nother, if you don't have a dehydrator and you don't want to microwave it, and let's say you don't want to bake it, what you could do is you could fill your sink with water. You could put the whole head of cauliflower in the sink. It'll warm it just from the temperature of the water. Now you have warm tacos or warm cauliflower. And if I had let this blend a bit more in the Vitamix. Of course, we know with the top on, and if you turn it all the way up, it heats as well. So this would have got warmer as well, our sauce. So you would have warm broccoli, warm cauliflower, and you would have warm sauce as well. So if that's what you're wanting to do, have warmer food.
So do you have a book? Did you write a book?
I did write a book. I co-authored a book. Let's say it that way. It's called Creating the Functional Medicine Revolution. And it's a compilation of stories from healthcare female clinicians. So pharmacists, I think there's only 2 nurses in the book. So there's a couple of MDs, there's a couple of naturopaths, there's lots of pharmacists, and then there's me and another, there's a nurse practitioner, and then there was me as a nurse. And so we all kind of shared our transition from traditional Western medicine to functional medicine, more holistic medicine. So it's actually really, really, some really great stories in there, but it's a really inspirational and empowering book, if I do say so myself. Nice. I read everyone's story. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's really interesting to kind of hear that perspective from people who are in healthcare or who were in healthcare. Some of them are still practicing physicians and practicing pharmacists, but many of which have totally transitioned and pivoted to functional medicine.
That's great. I love it. You gave me the link, so I put that in the show notes.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, you're very dynamic, very likable. I can imagine people must have great results working with you.
Oh thank you. Number one, thank you. And they do. So I shared the story in my chapter in the book about one of my clients, Miss Dorothy. She doesn't mind that, I share her story and share her name. Phenomenal. When I tell you, it's phenomenal. So she was diabetic for 20 plus years. Also had cardiovascular disease, hypertension. But she came to me. So before she came to me, her hemoglobin A1C was 11. That is incredibly high, incredibly high. She was able to get it down to 9 on her own. That's when she reached out to me on social media. And she said, I need to work with you. I need to get off these meds. And I'm like, okay. So we were focusing specifically on getting her off. She was on 2 diabetes medications, and they were threatening to put her on insulin. She's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. And so, like I said, that's when we started working together. And so from the year that we worked together, we worked one-on-one in private coaching. Her hemoglobin A1C went from 9 to 5.6. You guys, that's normal. 5.6. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm pre-diabetic. I said, no, you're post-diabetic. You are literally kicking diabetes to the curb. And so I'm proud. I'm so proud of her because she did the work. It's not easy. It's not easy. Anyone who's ever had any type of health issue, or weight issue for that matter, and I'm speaking personal experience, it's not easy. And you do need support, or most I will say most of us need support. Can you do it on your own? Some people can. Some people have the personality where they can just go, once they make up their mind, they're all in and they make it happen. Most of us aren't like that. Most of us need a little support, and that's okay. There's no shame in that. The shame would be staying the way you are, and the shame would be not reaching out for support, knowing that you're wanting something different for your life. So I'm so super proud of Miss Dorothy. She's done amazing thing. Oh yeah, and she got off the meds. I didn't say that part. Her A1C went down to 5.6, and she's off the meds. So very proud of her.
Nice. People are asking for the recipe. I'm trying to explain to them. They have to click the little link you provided, and they not only get today's recipe, but some other ones that look absolutely delicious as well.
Yes, that recipe. Thank you for sharing that in there. That one has, so it has this recipe. It also has like hibiscus ginger lemonade, which I meant to make today, but I forgot. But it's so delicious. And that's another recipe that I have my clients on. So hibiscus flowers naturally help to decrease blood pressure. Naturally helps to decrease blood pressure. So these are things I did not learn in nursing school. I didn't learn, okay, teach your patients or your clients to eat and drink these things so that they don't end up in the ICU, so that they don't end up in the hospital, so that they don't end up with, lifestyle diseases like type 2 diabetes and hypertension. And so hibiscus leaves, you can grow them, or lots of stores sell them. They're literally just dried hibiscus flowers, or you can, or our favorite Amazon, you can order from Amazon as well. And then the ginger. Ginger is amazing. Oh, let me go back to the hibiscus because yes, it helps to naturally lower your blood pressure, and it's also a natural laxative. So if you have issues with constipation, don't dilute it as much. So use less water, make it a little strong, drink it a little stronger, and you'll find yourself without any issues at all. Ask me how I found that out.
How did you find that out?
I love the beautiful burgundy color. I don't drink wine, but I love it. But it's a very pretty, if you don't dilute it, it's a very beautiful, like Cabernet, like a beautiful, like Merlot. It's a beautiful color. And so I wanted that color in my glass. Like you said, we eat with our eyes, we drink with our eyes, right? So, I made the recipe, and I didn't put as much water in it because I wanted to keep that really dark purple or dark burgundy. And man, let me tell you, after about the second glass, in about 30 minutes, I'm like, Houston, we might have a problem. And so yeah, I found out really quickly that I felt my little stomach bubbling. I'm like, I wasn't expecting this. So yeah, so be sure that you do dilute it according to the recipe. Unless you just don't want to, unless you actually need to go, by all means. If you need to stimulate your bowels, by all means, dilute it less, use less water.
Nice. Here's a question from, where did it go? From Andrea. Do you need to be below an A1C of 5.6 before going off diabetic medication?
Do you need to be below a 5.6? Well, 5.6 is normal. It's on the high end of normal. So just a little disclaimer. I would definitely recommend that so this isn't medical advice. I have to say that because I am a licensed professional. Definitely speak to your provider and make sure that this is something I've been telling everyone before I actually directly answer the question. One thing I've been really encouraging everyone is the world is changing. We have lifestyle medicine. We have physicians. I mentioned that's actually how Chef AJ and I are connected, is through Dr. Munish and Dr. Vandana Challa. They're lifestyle doctors. She's an internal med. I think he was a radiologist, but they're board certified lifestyle doctors. And so appeal is not their first intervention. Food actually is the first intervention. So go to make sure you're finding a doctor that is of the same mindset, that, not just we're going to give you a pill for your diabetes and, you'll probably be on this pill for the rest of your life. No. Make sure you find a doctor that says, okay, maybe we put you on this medicine, maybe for short term, but this is what we're going to do in the interim. Or maybe they say, we're not doing that medication at all because we're going to do X, Y, and Z in the interim. So to answer your question, do you have to be under 5.6 in order to come off of medication? If you're 5.6 without medication, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I guess I actually didn't answer the question. So do you have to be 5.6 to get off the medication? So that's assuming you are on medication. I would monitor it. I wouldn't just stop cold turkey, but I would monitor it and see, okay, how is it? And depending on the medication, and again, do this under the advisement and supervision of your physician, but wean it off. So if you're on 10 milligrams of something and the pill is, what's the word? I just forgot the word for it. You can break the pill in half, then try 5 and see how your blood sugar, see how your body manages your blood sugar on half a dosage. So wean yourself off. But it's going to be with food, absolutely, and movement. I like to say movement, not exercise. Some people, when they hear exercise, they're like, I don't like to exercise, but move your body. So it's going to be a combination of things that's going to allow you to come off of that medication. But yeah, definitely speak to your provider and tell them you don't want to be on the meds. What can you do? And work with someone who has helped people get off of meds and help people reverse their diabetes.
Yeah, she says she's working with her doctor. She's 5.6 with meds. She's going to check again in 6 months. That's great. And
that's awesome. Oh my God, that's huge.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Andrea.
Yeah.
And Mona says, can the hibiscus tea be served warm? I haven't heard of it warm, but why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it gets, I'm in Houston, so it's still kind of warm outside, but once it gets cooler, I definitely warm it. I use hot water and I make it as a hot tea lemonade. But in the summertime or warmer months, of course, I drink it as a cold over ice lemonade. But yes, you absolutely can.
Nice. When you were an IC nurse, how much of what you saw was lifestyle related? Of course, people have accidents, you're going to end up in the hospital for
Yeah.
that. But how much, like, if you knew then what you knew now, could you said, hey,
Yeah. If I had to put a percentage on it, I mean, pretty high percent. I'm going to say probably 75%. If not higher, excluding, like you said, the accidents, because I did work in the ICU, I worked in even a shock trauma. So, we had motorcycle accidents and that type of thing. But yeah, other than that, even things that people like that had surgery for, I worked in a cardiovascular ICU. So everybody had cardiovascular or cardiovascular issues. So yeah. Unless it was, and again, excluding those that are congenital, meaning that maybe you're born with a heart defect or something like that, and you have to have surgery to repair it. But yeah, lifestyle, I'm going to say about 75%.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be good? That'd be great to have you back in the hospital now and tell everybody what you know. All the doctors.
How about I teach nurses too? I'll just teach nurses how to do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Form this organization that I just told you about.
I love that you made that suggestion. I'm definitely going to look into that. Like that is right up my alley. So.
Right. Well, it was just such a pleasure meeting you. You're really just a wonderful spokesperson for this way of eating and living.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, that sauce looks amazing. Even if it wasn't on the cauliflower, I could just see using it for so many things.
You could put it on anything. Like really,
anything.
You could use it as
pasta.
Definitely on pasta. You could even use it as a salad dressing. It's a little thick right now for salad dressing. So if you add a little bit more water, you could thin it out a bit and use it as a very savory, sweet heat salad dressing. Absolutely. You can use it for sauce on anything.
If they click that link, they'll get also, you had a beautiful lemon dressing. You had a torte. So they should get it because there's more than this in the.
Yeah, there's a really good dessert on there that date nut torte. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's like fudgy and creamy and no processed sugar. It's all from dates. Oh my goodness. That's actually, and it's so quick. So quick.
You seem just like a really happy and positive person. Were you always like this, or did the plants make you transform?
Thank you. I think that I was, but I think the plants have amplified it. I really do. Great. I really do that. Because no doubt about it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Charyse.
Oh, you're welcome. This has been my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
It was so much fun. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when we have 2 shows. At 11 a.m. we have Kim Murphy. She's going to show us a system where we can make food for the whole week, including delicious plant-based bowls. And at 2 o'clock, we're going all the way to Australia for a registered dietitian named Dr. Peter Johnson. Take care of you.